Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. So Liverpool have just lost 2-0 to Red Star Belgrade. Yeah, what do you say about that? That it was terrible, that it was awful, that Liverpool got basically everything wrong that they could possibly have got wrong in this game. To be honest, first half, I thought we just did not show any respect to the opposition whatsoever. We were giving the ball away like they weren't going to punish us for it, and they did come up against us and they did punish us, and they got those 2 goals that quite frankly they did deserve from that first half. And I'll get it out the way now. Congratulations to Red Star Belgrade, because I thought they did actually play really, really well throughout the game. And I was thinking at half time, they were basically doing to us what we love to do to teams in the Champions League. Almost exactly what we did to Manchester City last season in the knockout stages, right down to that second goal, which is basically a carbon copy of the one that Oxlade-Chamberlain scores in terms of distance, where he hits it from, the way that he hits it, and where it hits the goal. So, fair play to them for that. And in the second half, I thought they defended so very well for the vast majority of that 45 minutes, like Liverpool did in that 3-0 game against Man City. They just held firm. They stopped Liverpool getting through, and like I said, all credit to them. They used the crowd to their advantage as well, like we love Liverpool to do at Anfield. So you know what, fair play to Red Star Belgrade for that. But Liverpool didn't half do them a favour by playing absolutely terribly today. I thought, like I said, the defence was absolutely awful in that first half in terms of just giving the ball away in such ridiculous situations where you don't need to give it away. You're not under any pressure whatsoever, and yet we just let them have the ball. That first goal, the corner comes from, I think it's Van Dijk giving the ball away stupidly. Can't remember who it is who gives the ball away for the second, but Gino Wijnaldum then has some multiple opportunities either to win it back or to just make a professional foul to stop the counter-attack, and he doesn't. He just lets that player continue to charge at our defence, even though the player he's charging at, Matip, when you watch it back, has clearly got no idea what he's going to do, how he's going to deal with the situation. He just backs off and backs off. He looks like a rabbit in the headlights, which for a Liverpool centre-back is bizarre. That someone in that kind of situation, Liverpool, as I said in the pre-match video, are categorically, in terms of pure quality on paper, better than Red Star Belgrade. Not on the night, I'll give you that, but our players are better than theirs. So for Joel Matip to be backing off in fear at the Red Star Belgrade striker coming at him is simply baffling. So yeah, first half, defended awfully. The attacking threat wasn't that much better. The midfield was non-existent. Apparently none of them even won a tackle in that first half, which is bonkers when you consider that that is essentially what this Liverpool side is built on and what this Liverpool side should be doing, especially in European games away from home. They should be tackling to protect the defence. They should be tackling to get counter-attacks going, and they just weren't doing it. Special mention goes to Adam Lallana, who was probably even worse than everyone else on the pitch somehow, simply by virtue of just doing absolutely nothing, whether it was on or off the ball. When he didn't have the ball, he was taking up useless positions. When he did have the ball, he was doing absolutely nothing that in any way contributed to a meaningful move forward. And I thought in the second half, he didn't get that much better. There's that one moment from Ilana, which I think summed up his performance, where he tries to do a give and go with Mane. He makes a run and then just stops the run and turns his back on Mane. So by the time Mane actually does pass the ball to him, which Lallana seemingly didn't expect him to do, it just bounces off the back of his heels because he's not even paying attention. So Lallana, rubbish, and to be honest, don't think he's good enough to play for Liverpool anymore. Again, if this all feels a little bit reactionary, and maybe I am being a little bit over the top, but based on this performance tonight, it feels like the Spurs 4-1, and I'm hoping that that allegory, that sort of comparison doesn't stop here. I'm hoping that what happens now is what happened after the 4-1 against Spurs, where the team did get their act together, sort themselves out, and start a sort of progression that led to them being an absolutely fantastic side by the end of the season. That is what I want to see from Liverpool now. But right now, I'm just so frustrated with pretty much everything we saw tonight. I think Jurgen Klopp was absolutely right to make those substitutions at halftime. Something had to change. Things got marginally better, I guess, because we didn't concede in the second half, and we looked vaguely like we might maybe not score a goal, but at least have a shot on target in that second half. I think credit should at least go to Mo Salah, who I thought was our only real attacking threat. He was the only player who ever tried to force the issue, whoever tried to make things happen, whoever seemed to actually get shots on goal in the first place. So by no means a vintage performance from him. I'm not saying that he was like 9 out of 10 man of the match or anything like that, but at least he seemed to be trying. I thought other players like Sadio Mane just was nowhere near as involved as he should be. He didn't take the game by the scruff of the neck. You know, whenever he got on the ball, he didn't look like a threat, which is disappointing. Daniel Sturridge, that miss at the start, you know, it could have all been so different if he puts it away, but he doesn't. And then from there on in, just constantly snatching at shots that he shouldn't have taken when there are so many passes on that would have been so much better. You think back to the 4-0 against Red Star at Anfield, where he's in a similar position to the one that he found himself in a lot tonight, the kind of position that tonight he was shooting from, but instead what he does is he sets up Sadio Mane, and that's what leads to the 4th goal. Sturridge just seemed to be a different player tonight. Sturridge tonight felt like the player that played for Liverpool last season, the player that we looked at and thought, yeah, we can actually afford to just send this lad on loan to West Brom because he's not really contributing that much. And that's not me saying we should loan out Sturridge to West Brom, because I think he does have something to contribute to this Liverpool side, but this was just a really off night for him, and frustratingly an off night for pretty much every single player in a purple shirt for Liverpool. So yeah, incredibly frustrating result, incredibly frustrating performance, absolutely terrible all round. No player really comes away from that with any sort of credit whatsoever, apart from maybe Mohamed Salah. Credit, of course, does go to Red Star, who, like I said, were absolutely fantastic. Although even in the second half, some of their defending wasn't that great. There were multiple times where they cleared it away only as far as like 30 yards out from goal. And if Liverpool had actually given it some effort, they could have used that to their advantage, because if Red Star aren't clearing the ball away into our own half or anything like that, we can carry on putting pressure on them. They haven't actually dealt with the danger that much, and you can use that to wear them out, to put them under the cosh until eventually you grind them down and you get the goals. And maybe that's what we were trying to do, and it didn't come off because it just wasn't our night. And there were times when it felt like that, certainly in the second half. I simply found myself losing interest in the game. I almost couldn't bear to watch it because it was just so... It was a mix of like 50% really painful and 50% really, really boring. It was actually a difficult game to watch because not only was it distressing to see, but also I felt like I was falling asleep at times during that second half. But if we just put them under a little bit more pressure, I really do feel like they would have crumbled, because they weren't able of clearing the ball away and actually buying themselves that much time. Every time they cleared it, it was coming to someone like Gini Van Alden or James Milner or Adam Lallana in that situation about 30 yards from goal, and we just didn't do anything productive with it. So yeah, all in all, a really out of sorts performance from Liverpool today, and obviously a really difficult result when you think of how we are possibly going to get out of this Champions League group now. A lot does obviously now ride on that game between PSG and Napoli later on this evening. It's probably playing right now by the time, playing right now by the time this video goes out. So, you know, if you're watching this, don't forget to keep an eye on that as well, because that will have a huge bearing on what happens between now and the end of the group stage campaign, and obviously whether or not Liverpool actually have a chance of getting out, and of course what Liverpool have to do to get out, because that game will essentially determine whether PSG or Napoli are the enemy, whether the game we have to get a result in, and to be honest I think we do have to get a result in both, but the game that we will really be betting our lives on to try and get out of this group is that away game against PSG later on this month, or the one at home to Napoli in December. At the end of the day, both of them are crucial. Both of them are now potentially must win, because if you ask me, this game was a must win as well, and Liverpool have royally cocked that up. So yeah, really difficult situation now. It's not necessarily impossible to see how we get out of this Champions League group, because like I said, it all depends on what happens between PSG and Napoli, and then whether Liverpool can get their act together in time for those final 2 games. But a massive setback, of course, and hopefully the wake-up call that Liverpool need to get themselves together, start playing some pretty football at last, and get our season back on track before it starts to derail. So that is all for today's video. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you have watched all the way through, I know it must have been difficult because it was an incredibly painful game, and the last thing we really want to do about it is think about it anymore. We really just want to put it to the back of our minds. But thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video and find it a cathartic experience to rant and rave about how bad Liverpool were, then hit that like button down there, hit that subscribe button there if you're new around here. Check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel over the past few days as well. Don't forget to follow at LAFC Focus TV on Twitter. I'll be back later on this week with the pre-match content for the game against Fulham. Until then, bye for now.